Welcome, friends. Today I'm going to tell you a story about love, betrayal, and the incredible strength of the human spirit that can overcome even the darkest of circumstances. Enjoy the story. The beeping of medical monitors filled the sterile hospital room, a grim reminder of the inevitable. Natalie Jenkins, once vibrant and full of life, now lay pale and gaunt in her bed, her time quickly running out. Her husband, Adam, sat beside her, his handsome face etched with exhaustion and worry. "Adam," Natalie whispered, her voice barely audible. Promise me you'll take care of Laura." Adam's jaw clenched as he thought of his stepdaughter, Laura. The girl had been nothing but a burden since he'd married Natalie 5 years ago. Chronically ill and needing constant care, Laura had drained their finances and tested his patience to the limit. "Natalie, he began, but the pleading look in his wife's eyes silenced him. "Please, Adam, she has no one else. The apartment, it's worth a fortune. It'll be yours, all of it. Just take care of my baby." Adam's eyes flickered with interest at the mention of the luxurious Manhattan apartment. It was Natalie's family inheritance, a gem in the heart of the Upper East Side. With its value, he could finally live the life he'd always dreamed of. Forcing a tender smile, Adam took Natalie's frail hand in his. "Of course, darling, I promise. I'll take care of Laura." Relief washed over Natalie's face as she closed her eyes. "Thank you," she breathed, before slipping into unconsciousness. Adam sat there, his mind racing with possibilities. He had made a promise, yes, but promises could be bent, couldn't they? 2 weeks after Natalie's funeral, Adam found himself at an upscale bar in downtown New York, nursing a glass of expensive scotch. The weight of his new responsibilities hung heavy on his shoulders, and he needed an escape. That's when he saw her. Lily sauntered into the bar, a vision in a little black dress that hugged every curve. Her long blonde hair cascaded down her back, and her green eyes sparkled with mischief. She was everything Natalie wasn't: young, carefree, and full of life. Their eyes met across the room, and Adam felt a jolt of electricity. Without hesitation, he raised his glass in invitation. Lily's ruby-red lips curved into a seductive smile as she made her way over. "Is this seat taken?" she purred, sliding onto the bar stool next to him. Adam grinned, already feeling lighter than he had in months. "It is now." What started as a night of flirtation quickly blossomed into a whirlwind romance. Within a month, Adam had moved Lily into Natalie's apartment, much to Laura's dismay. "How could you?" Laura spat, her thin frame trembling with anger as she confronted Adam in the living room. "Mom's barely cold in her grave, and you bring this woman into our home." Lily, lounging on the sofa in silk pajamas, rolled her eyes. "Honey, your mom would have wanted your dad to be happy. Don't be so selfish." "He's not my dad!" Laura shouted, her face flushed with exertion. She stumbled, her illness making even this small outburst exhausting. Adam stepped between them, his voice stern. "That's enough, Laura. Go to your room. Now." As Laura shuffled away, Lily wrapped her arms around Adam's waist. "Baby, how long are we going to let her ruin our lives like this? I thought we were going to travel the world, live it up. Instead, we're stuck here playing nursemaid." Adam sighed, kissing the top of Lily's head. "I know, sweetheart. I'm working on it. I just need a little more time." Lily pouted, her fingers tracing patterns on his chest. "Well, work faster. I'm not getting any younger, and neither are you, handsome." Weeks passed, and the tension in the apartment grew thicker by the day. Laura's condition seemed to worsen, requiring more and more of Adam's attention. Lily's patience wore thin, her dreams of a jet-setting lifestyle slipping further away. One evening, as Adam returned home from yet another doctor's appointment with Laura, he found Lily in the bedroom, a suitcase open on the bed. "What's going on?" he asked, a knot forming in his stomach. Lily turned to him, her eyes flashing with determination. "I can't do this anymore, Adam. It's her or me. You need to make a choice." "Lily, be reasonable. I can't just abandon her. I made a promise." "To a dead woman?" Lily interrupted. "Wake up, Adam. That girl is sucking the life out of both of us. Do you think this is what Natalie wanted? For you to waste away taking care of her useless daughter?" Adam flinched at her words, but he couldn't deny the truth in them. He was tired, so tired of it all. Lily softened her tone, moving closer to wrap her arms around him. Baby, I have an idea. That old house Natalie's family owned in the countryside. Why don't we take Laura there? It's peaceful, away from the city. It could be good for her. Adam's brow furrowed. You want us to move to the countryside? Lily laughed, a tinkling sound that always made Adam's heart race. No, silly, we leave her there. She's almost 18, right? She'll be fine on her own for a while. And then… Well, nature has a way of taking care of these things, doesn't it? The implication of her words hung heavy in the air. Adam should have been appalled, but instead, he felt a glimmer of hope. You really think that would work? Lily kissed him deeply, then pulled back with a wicked grin. Trust me, baby. I'll make it worth your while. As they fell onto the bed together, Adam pushed away the nagging voice of conscience in the back of his mind. After all, he deserved to be happy, didn't he? The old Cadillac rumbled down the highway, cutting through the lush New York countryside. Laura sat in the back seat, her pale face pressed against the window, watching the world blur by. Adam gripped the steering wheel tightly, his knuckles white, while Lily hummed contentedly beside him, flipping through a fashion magazine. How much longer? Laura's weak voice drifted from the back. Adam's jaw clenched. We'll get there when we get there. Lily placed a manicured hand on his thigh. Baby, why don't we stop for a break? I could use a stretch, and I'm sure Laura needs her meds. Reluctantly, Adam pulled into a small roadside market. As Lily sashayed off to find a restroom, Adam helped Laura out of the car. Her legs trembled beneath her, barely able to support her frail body. I don't understand why we had to leave New York, Laura mumbled, leaning heavily on Adam. All my doctors are there. Adam forced a smile. The fresh air will do you good. You'll see. As they made their way towards a bench, an elderly woman appeared, seemingly out of nowhere. Her clothes were tattered and worn, but her eyes sparkled with an inner light. Oh, you poor dear, the woman cooed, reaching out to Laura. Such a sickness in one so young. Here, take this. She pressed a small pouch of dried herbs into Laura's hand. Adam stepped between them, his voice harsh. Back off, lady. We don't need any of your voodoo nonsense. The old woman merely smiled, undeterred. The earth provides all the healing we need, if only we know how to listen. Laura clutched the pouch, a glimmer of hope in her eyes. Wait, she called as Adam tried to usher her away. What's your name? Abigail, child, but most folks just call me Granny. Granny Abigail, Laura repeated softly. Then, turning to Adam with more strength in her voice than he'd heard in months, she declared, I want her to come with us. Adam balked. Are you out of your mind? We're not taking some random homeless woman. Either she comes, or I'm not going any further, Laura interrupted, a hint of her mother's stubbornness shining through. Before Adam could argue, Lily returned, taking in the scene with a raised eyebrow. What's going on here? Laura explained quickly, and to Adam's surprise, Lily's face lit up. Oh, how quaint. A real country healer. Of course she should come, Adam. It'll be good for Laura to have some company. Outnumbered and outmaneuvered, Adam could only watch in disbelief as Granny Abigail climbed into the back seat with Laura, chattering away about herbal remedies and old country wisdom. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the rolling hills, Adam turned onto a narrow dirt road. At the end stood a sprawling Victorian mansion, its white paint peeling and shutters hanging askew. Fields of lavender stretched out behind it, their purple hue muted in the fading light. Welcome to Lavender Fields, Adam announced, his voice flat. Laura gasped softly. It's beautiful. Lily wrinkled her nose. It's a dump. As they piled out of the car, the sweet scent of lavender filled the air. Granny Abigail immediately set about unloading Laura's belongings, her wiry frame belying a surprising strength. Adam hung back, watching as Laura took tentative steps towards the house, leaning on Granny Abigail for support. Lily sidled up to him, her voice low and sultry. Now's our chance, baby. Let's get out of here while they're distracted. For a moment, Adam hesitated. Then with a curt nod, he slid back into the driver's seat. Lily barely had time to hop in before he gunned the engine, tires spitting gravel as they sped away. In the rearview mirror, Adam caught a glimpse of Laura's face, a mix of hurt and resignation etched across her features. He told himself it was for the best, even as guilt gnawed at his insides. Lily whooped with joy, her hair whipping in the wind. "Freedom, baby! Just you and me now! The world is our oyster!" As lavender fields disappeared behind them, Adam pushed away thoughts of Laura and focused on the open road ahead. He had made his choice. There was no turning back now. The first rays of morning sunlight filtered through the dusty windows of lavender fields, casting a warm glow over Laura's sleeping form. She stirred, momentarily disoriented by the unfamiliar surroundings. Then the events of the previous day came rushing back, and with them, a wave of despair. A gentle knock at the door preceded Granny Abigail's entrance. The old woman carried a tray laden with a steaming bowl of porridge and a cup of herbal tea. "Rise and shine, child," Granny said cheerfully. "It's a beautiful day to start healing." Laura struggled to sit up, her limbs feeling like lead. "What's the point?" she muttered. "They left me here to die." Granny Abigail tisked, setting the tray on the bedside table. "Nonsense. You're here to live, child, and live you shall, with a little help from Mother Nature and a lot of stubbornness." Despite herself, Laura felt a small smile tugging at her lips. There was something comforting about Granny's unwavering optimism. As the days passed, Laura found herself slowly adapting to life at Lavender Fields. Granny Abigail's herbal concoctions, while often bitter and strange-smelling, seemed to ease some of her symptoms. The fresh country air filled her lungs, and the gentle sounds of nature replaced the constant noise of the city. One sunny afternoon, as Laura sat on the porch swing, wrapped in a cozy blanket, she heard the sound of approaching footsteps. Looking up, she saw a young man about her age, carrying a basket of fresh produce. "Hi there," he called out, a friendly smile lighting up his handsome face. "I'm Danny, from the farm down the road. Mom sent me over with some fresh milk and eggs for you folks." Laura felt a blush creep up her cheeks. It had been so long since she'd interacted with anyone her own age. "I'm Laura," she managed to reply. "Thank you, that's very kind." Danny's eyes twinkled as he set the basket down. "It's nice to finally meet you, Laura. I was beginning to think this old place was haunted or something." They chatted for a while, Danny's easygoing nature drawing Laura out of her shell. As he was leaving, he turned back with a grin. "Hey, if you're up for it, I could use some help picking berries in our orchard next week. Fresh air, sunshine, and all the berries you can eat. What do you say?" Laura hesitated, acutely aware of her limitations, but something in Danny's warm gaze made her want to try. I'd like that," she said softly. As Danny waved goodbye, Laura felt a flutter in her chest that had nothing to do with her illness. For the first time in years, she found herself looking forward to tomorrow. Weeks turned into months, and with each passing day, Laura felt a little stronger. Granny Abigail's herbal remedies, combined with the clean country air and wholesome food, began to work wonders on her frail body. The girl who once struggled to walk across a room now found herself taking short strolls through the lavender fields, breathing in the sweet, healing scent. Danny became a frequent visitor to Lavender Fields, always ready with a warm smile and a helping hand. True to his word, he had enlisted Laura's help in picking berries, and though she tired quickly, the joy of being useful for the first time in years far outweighed her exhaustion. One warm afternoon, as they sat in the shade of an old oak tree, baskets of ripe strawberries at their feet, Danny turned to Laura with a serious expression. "You know, when you first came here, I thought you were the saddest person I'd ever seen," he said softly. "But now I see how strong you are. You're like one of those wildflowers that grow through cracks in the sidewalk. Nothing can keep you down." Laura felt her cheeks grow warm, and not just from the sun. "I don't feel very strong," she admitted. "Sometimes I still feel like that girl they left behind to die?" Danny finished gently. When Laura nodded, he reached out and took her hand. "Well, I'm glad they were wrong, because I can't imagine this place without you now." Their eyes met, and for a moment the world seemed to stand still. Then, with a courage she didn't know she possessed, Laura leaned in and pressed her lips to Danny's. The kiss was soft, sweet, and tasted of summer strawberries. When they pulled apart, both blushing furiously, Laura felt as though her heart might burst from happiness. For the first time in her life, she dared to hope for a future, a real future, filled with love and possibilities. As summer faded into autumn, the changes in Laura became impossible to ignore. Her once sallow cheeks now held a healthy glow, and her hair, which had been limp and lifeless, shone with vitality. She had gained weight, her body filling out in soft, womanly curves that she was only just beginning to appreciate. One crisp October morning, Laura stood before the full-length mirror in her bedroom, hardly recognizing the young woman who stared back at her. Gone was the sickly girl who had arrived at Lavender Fields months ago. In her place stood a vibrant, beautiful young woman on the cusp of her 18th birthday. "Well, I'll be." Granny Abigail's voice came from the doorway. "Looks like we've got ourselves a butterfly instead of a caterpillar." Laura turned, tears of joy glistening in her eyes. "Granny, I can't believe it. I feel alive." Granny Abigail crossed the room and enveloped Laura in a warm hug. "That's because you are alive, child. Truly alive, maybe for the first time." As they embraced, a car could be heard pulling up the gravel driveway. Laura's heart skipped a beat. She knew that sound. It was Adam's Cadillac. "They're back," she whispered, a mixture of emotions swirling inside her. Granny Abigail squeezed her hand. "Remember, child, you're not the same girl they left behind. You're stronger now. Don't let them take that away from you." With a deep breath, Laura squared her shoulders and made her way downstairs. It was time to face her past and claim her future. Adam and Lily stood in the foyer, looking around with a mixture of surprise and disdain. The house, while still old, was noticeably cleaner and more inviting than when they had left. "Hello, Adam. Lily." Laura's voice, strong and clear, caused them both to whirl around. For a moment, neither of them spoke, too shocked by the transformation before them. Gone was the sickly, fragile girl they had abandoned. In her place stood a healthy, confident young woman. Adam was the first to recover. "Laura, is that really you?" Lily's eyes narrowed. "What are you doing here? We assumed—" "That I'd be dead by now," Laura finished, her voice cool. "Sorry to disappoint you." Adam had the decency to look ashamed, but Lily's face hardened. "Look, sweetie, I don't know what kind of game you're playing, but this is our property now. We've come to sell it." Laura laughed, the sound rich and full. "I'm afraid you're mistaken, Lily. This house and the apartment in New York, they're all part of my mother's estate. And in case you've forgotten, I turn 18 next week, which means everything becomes mine." Adam paled. "Now, Laura, let's not be hasty. We can work something out." "Save it," Laura cut him off. "You made your choice when you left me here to die. Now I'm making mine. As soon as I come of age, I'm kicking you both out of my mother's apartment. You can find somewhere else to live out your gold digger fantasies." Lily's face contorted with rage. "You ungrateful little bitch! After everything we've done for you—" "That's enough!" Granny Abigail's voice boomed from the staircase. "I think it's time for you two to leave." As if on cue, Danny appeared in the doorway, his imposing farm boy physique adding weight to Granny's words. Realizing they were outnumbered, Adam grabbed Lily's arm. "Come on, let's go. This isn't over, Laura." As they stormed out, slamming the door behind them, Laura felt a weight lift from her shoulders. She turned to Granny Abigail and Danny, her true family now, and smiled. "It is over," she said softly, "and our life is just beginning." 1 year later, Lavender Fields was transformed. The old Victorian mansion gleamed with fresh paint, and the lavender fields were in full bloom, their sweet scent carried on the warm summer breeze. Laura stood on the porch, watching as guests arrived for her 19th birthday party. She had sold the New York apartment, using the money to restore Lavender Fields and turn it into a wellness retreat. People came from all over to experience Granny Abigail's herbal remedies and the healing power of nature. Danny appeared beside her, slipping an arm around her waist. "Penny for your thoughts, beautiful?" Laura leaned into him, a contented smile on her face. "I was just thinking about how different everything is now. A year ago I thought my life was over. Now, it feels like it's only just beginning. As if to punctuate her words, a young girl in a wheelchair was helped out of a car by her parents. Laura recognized the look of hope mingled with fear on their faces. It was the same look she had worn when she first arrived at Lavender Fields. "Excuse me," she said to Danny, making her way down the steps. Approaching the family, Laura knelt down beside the girl's wheelchair. "Hi there," she said warmly. "I'm Laura. Welcome to Lavender Fields. You know, I used to be in a wheelchair too." The girl's eyes widened. "Really? But you look so healthy now." Laura nodded, her eyes twinkling. "That's the magic of this place. With a little help from nature, some wonderful friends, and a lot of determination, anything is possible." As she stood to greet the parents, Laura caught sight of Granny Abigail watching from the porch, a proud smile on her weathered face. In that moment, surrounded by the beauty of Lavender Fields and the love of her chosen family, Laura knew that she had found more than just healing. She had found her true home.